Hey guys, this is STLYoungblood along with DrankTHEKoolaid for another episode of Duality, and today's guest is Wrel. Say hello, Wrel.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Koolaid, you want to say hi too?
Hello.
So, what we wanted to talk about a little bit today was actually getting into player engagement and progression. And I think one of the important differences between Planetside and just about every other shooter is kind of the intended longevity of the game. For the most part with FPS games, you kind of have, that new game coming out every other year or every year in like a Call of Duty franchise. So you kind of get to a point where, you kind of get a fresh start every other year. But Planetside's kind of got that long-term goal. And I could see things getting burnt out for people. And I think we're already seeing that in the community. So that's what we're going to kind of hack through a little bit today. Either you have any comments before we just jump into it?
Nah, I'm good.
All right. I don't know how many of you guys know, but Wrel was on the Friday Night Ops a while back talking about some of this stuff. So, Wrel, can you kind of give us a quick rundown on what your discussion points were?
Yeah, so basically, I kind of wanted to define progression up front, because in Planetside 2, we have what's basically a hybrid vertical and horizontal progression. And vertical is things like it's your standard MMO. So if you're in World of Warcraft, you level up, you get stronger. You don't get weaker. You don't move horizontally, which is think about Call of Duty Ghosts. You have a specific amount of perks, or I'm sorry, of equipment that you can equip, and everything is you can't go beyond it. You can't get better stuff. You just get different stuff, right? And in Planetside 2, there's this kind of strangeness that surrounds like if you have rank 1 nanoweave armor, that's all you can equip in the slot is just nanoweave armor. And if you want to change it out, you have to switch over to flak, or whatever the case. And that in itself is horizontal, but you can also rank up your nanoweave, you can rank up your flak, and that makes it vertical. So you have people who are essentially, they can be flatly better than you because they have higher ranks of the same stuff that you have. And that's is very, very strange in a game like Planetside 2 that is supposed to keep everyone sort of on an equal playing field.
Good stuff. So I guess with that in mind, I think we can kind of use that as the base for, our discussions here. What sort of things have we seen in the game so far that have kind of been targeted towards keeping people engaged and helping people through, I guess, just sticking with it? Like the ones that stand out to me are probably, the alerts at least. It's not necessarily directed towards, player progressions, straightforward, but the alert system's in there almost just to keep people interested and give them something to do.
Right. So if you're, at this point we have people hitting battle rank 100s. People like Scourge of the Server. He unlocked pretty much everything, well, absolutely everything on his character. And like, what do you do? What do you do after that? So as far as progression goes, it also ties in with player engagement and how do we create, a game that's supposed to last the test of time.
Would you like to see more vertical progression, or would you like less vertical progression?
Me personally, I'm a fan of. I understand the value in both, but I think that Planetside 2 needs more horizontal progression. Right now, it's the vertical progression. It's not necessarily a bad thing, because what did you do when you first started the game? You drop in battle rank 1, and then you don't really know what's going on. You're kind of just playing around, and you gain some certs, and then you like, oh, I can put my certs into this, which makes me better at whatever. And that's cool. That's a good feeling. Like we like to earn stuff. We like to unlock stuff, but at the same time, then you get to the point where it's oh, everyone has better X, Y, or Z than me, and that's why they're doing well. So there's this kind of paradox between us wanting to progress and then us getting to the point where we've unlocked enough, and we've experienced enough. Now it's just like everybody else is better because they've played longer, and just even the mentality, that mentality is something that I think that we can avoid by using horizontal progression, and then using other methods of vertical progression, which I would consider things like the battle ranks. Battle ranks are vertical progression. You don't get anything particular like out of it, I guess, except for titles and I guess notoriety. But that's still another form to keep us moving, keep us unlocking in the same way that our suit slots and whatever the case do right now.
And credit to Sony, they did do a decent job in balancing that vertical progression by making the the cert tiers for the ranks of Nanoweave or whatever, much lower to start off with, and then have that big 1,000 cert, final tier, which I think helps a lot with what you're talking about.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Going back to the battle ranks, and there not really being any, awards outside of the fact that you just get, like you mentioned, a little bit of notoriety for being a higher battle rank. Do you guys see that as being a problem, that there's nothing really provided to you for earning new battle ranks?
I would actually like to see, maybe like different camo rewards, or maybe a trophy slot or something kind of silly like that for getting those higher battle ranks, just so there's actually something there. I'd actually like to see the battle ranks go beyond 100 too. You wouldn't obviously get anything for it, but new titles or maybe some other form of rewards that I kind of mentioned already.
As far as like, even if it didn't go beyond battle rank 100, I think you should still be able to keep earning experience and just like resetting your 100 at least to get like another cert drop, or I mean maybe new titles. Like the number I don't think has to go that high. I think having when people, I see it all the time, right? People die and like, oh, you're just a battle rank 100 whatever, and it's that sort of mentality is something that's kind of silly. Like I wish that battle ranks were a more personal thing instead of something that was like showcased right in front of you, like, oh, this is this guy, he must have all sorts of things that you don't, based on his level.
Yeah, and there's a good chance, I'm battle rank 90 whatever, and there's a good chance if I kill somebody that's battle rank 5, I could be using some horribly crappy loadout, that I just started using that has very few tiers, and I might not be any better than that battle rank 5 in terms of cert progression.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it fosters a really sort of nasty mentality when you really look at it on kind of the ground floor.
I look at it and say, I wonder if there's something, and Koolaid, you kind of hit on something similar, rewards in the form of like cosmetics, getting new camos or getting new, I guess, armor or something like that. Something that doesn't necessarily impact gameplay. And I wonder if we could almost take that up another level, almost to a point where maybe you reach battle rank 75 and you're NC. So instead of flying the stock Reaver, you get the opportunity to fly another ESF that performs almost identically to the Reaver, but looks a lot sleeker. It's a cosmetically new vehicle that performs the same. Something along those lines might, move towards people wanting to get into that better looking vehicle and probably not have that negative impact on gameplay.
Yeah, I'd actually like to see some progression like that, where you have to play a certain role. Like, say you played light assault a lot, that was your favorite class. If you got something that told other people that you did play light assault a lot, and it would just be something cosmetic, but it would just be a reward for playing that one type of role that you really like.
Well, and maybe something like that could work. And instead of battle rank related, it's time spent. Going back to vehicles, maybe you get a new skin or a slightly new, I guess, texture for your MBT or your ESF that you've spent, 200, 500, whatever you want to set the goal at, hours in this certain vehicle, or like you said, in this role, and you all of a sudden look different. That reflects that game type that you've been playing.
Yeah, it could be time spent or experience earned on that one class, whatever.
Yeah, that'd make a lot of sense. I've actually Adrian was talking about that before, just with me in a different chat room, and he was saying that it would be nice if somebody like, you wouldn't be able to do it like if you played 100 hours in your MBT and then also played 100 hours in your ESF. You wouldn't both get those sleek versions, like you're saying, of whatever of the tank and of the ESF. But what if if that was a way to showcase someone that you are very, very good at something, right? So if you're a tanker, you get to pick that this is the vehicle that I want to be all tricked out. Like, this is the one that I want everybody to know that I primarily play, and then not be able to do the same thing with other vehicles. I think that sort of specificity could add something that's kind of fun.
Yeah, definitely. I think I definitely have something infiltrator related on my character.
Yeah, mine would obviously be the fighters. So yeah, I think I think something like that would be a great idea, and it kind of is kind of a combination of the notoriety and also that just, I guess, self-proclaimed, this is my expert class, or this is my preferred role.
And if you're terrible at it, you have to wear brown camo all the time. That's what
and dark crap camo, I like it.
It's just called poo camo.
Poo camo. It's got a ring to it. So what are some other ideas that we've got out there? I mean, let's just kind of throw some stuff out and just kind of break it down, regarding maybe new stuff. And I think one of the things that keeps the game fresh and keeps people interested is obviously new content. But the problem with new content is it doesn't really fix the core problem. It's almost like a short-term solution. It's, there's something new. I can kind of be distracted and play with that for a while. Do you see anything new that could be implemented that might make a more long-term solution?
I think, when people play the game for a long time, they're usually part of an outfit. And just having an outfit that can progress and an outfit that can give you stuff is sort of like a loyalty. A loyalty sort of thing. I don't know, unlocks, it could be cosmetic, it could be whatever. Maybe it's a outfit specific weapon, or a modified version of X weapon that's just specific to the outfit. That can give you, a purpose, like if you want to go and you want to unlock that sort of thing. I think starting at your most loyal players is probably a good, or maybe not starting there, but at least rewarding your most loyal players is a good way to look at things.
Well, I'm glad you actually brought up outfit, because one of the things that I was kind of tossing around with, the ideas was, either outfit or platoon objectives and tasks. Something that's kind of like the new mission system that we've come out, but is actually assigned by, a platoon leader. Maybe they set objectives to attack or defend or, hold a certain area for a certain amount of time. The team, the grunts, if you will, then get the extra additional XP for following orders. And then maybe the leader gets some XP for accomplishing whatever goal was actually set. Kind of similar to the mission system, but can be kind of voted on or maybe just specified to your outfit's particular playstyle. And then I think, like you said, people that tend to stick around are the ones that are, squatting up and being a part of, outfits or at least platoons. And I think this is something that could maybe encourage that. I think the obvious downside would be probably need to work out how to avoid abuse, like setting easy goals just to get more XP, but I think it might be something.
Yeah, actually, I really like those, platoon ideas, if they could be implemented without being abused, but it would definitely help organization of the platoon at the very least.
Yeah, I don't actually know how, we're going to be able to make player specified missions, and they said that it's going to work. It's going to play nicely with squad and outfit play or platoon play or whatever. And I wonder if they're going to do something exactly like what you're saying. Because we don't know the details right now, but it seems something that they have awareness of. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that the system kind of get fleshed out a little bit more.
Have you, it's a little bit off topic, but have you used the mission system on test at all yet? I tried to, but it's pretty, can't really do it without any other players there, it seems.
I saw it for just a little bit when I went over to kind of film my Hassan flyover, and it was mildly interesting, but you're right, there's so few people there, it's hard to get a good feel for. But it almost seemed erratic how the new missions were popping up. It was hard to get a grasp on what the actual method to the madness was.
That could just have a lot to do with it being broken right now on test, which is usually the case.
Good point. Yeah, I don't know. One of the other things I was kind of toying around with, and this might kind of fall into that outfit category, but would maybe almost be something like a bounty system. You know, maybe you've got somebody like a really good ESF pilot that keeps shooting yours out of the air, or, you know, a lib that's just continuing to harass your players on the ground, or whatever it may be. You know, maybe having some ability to put a bounty out for a player and then having your faction be able to go get them. Or maybe it's even a bounty against a opposing outfit that you've been having issues with.
That, I think, could be really cool, but you'd also have to, I think, reward the player with the bounty on their head as well. So, say you put a bounty on a really good ESF pilot, maybe they get, you know, an extra 50 experience per kill after they've had the bounty placed on them or something similar to that.
That's, yeah. I think that'd be kind of funny to, you know, what if it created a game of cat and mouse or something? Like they have to stay alive for X amount of time, and I don't know. Or maybe how many people they kill, like, will move them closer to a goal. Maybe there's a leaderboard for people who are bountied. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah, I think it would just kind of put in a really interesting dynamic to the game, something kind of new and fun. And, you know, it could even create a new role for certain players. You know, maybe they don't want to be the ones that squad up and go out, but maybe they turn themselves into bounty hunters, and all of a sudden they're, you know, the ones that are actually trying to go get that ESF, or they're specifically hunting that, you know, vanguard on the hill that's been shooting people down, whatever it may be. But it could create just a new play style for some people.
As long as it, you know, didn't actually divert from the in-game goals, which is, you know, taking bases and progressing through the map or the alert or whatever you're doing.
Right.
And that's the real challenge. That and the potential for abuse. Like, oh, I'm bountied, I better go run away. Like, hide somewhere.
Right. Or who knows, maybe it's something where, you know, you don't even realize you're bountied until you're killed, but then you're rewarded some XP as a result, or I don't know. It's a pretty rough idea, but could be interesting if it was fleshed out right. And then I had two other ideas. One is a little bit more crazy, so I'll kind of save that one for last. But the next one I had was kind of helping people work towards a goal. And maybe it's and this might even be something that kind of helps people in those middle levels. You know, talk about maybe like 30 to 50. You know, they don't have all the guns that they want. They're probably not spending station cash on everything. So let's say maybe you've got a gun that's 500 certs that you really want, and you're not spending any cash on this game. So maybe you can go in and actually choose that gun, and then after you've chosen that, all of the certs that you earn go straight towards that gun, almost like layaway. And then the benefit of that would be that you unlock that gun at a 25% like cert discount, just some random number, but that ends up being like 375 for instead of 500. So you get it at a discount, and then as you're playing, you're also, you know, you're working towards that end goal of getting that gun that you want, almost giving you that sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, that's actually I posted something similar. But it would be like an instant gratification sort of thing. Like you'd get the gun now and then have to pay interest on it. Like you'd have to pay it off over time. And the reason for it was because the newer players have a hard time getting access to the weapons, which fortunately everybody's got a shotgun now, so that kind of makes people a little more viable in close quarters. But yeah, just the back when it really felt like there was this disparity in power between beginner players and experts. I think that being able to unlock something, you know, instantly, still had to pay for it, still had to pay more for it. I think that was a good way to kind of look at things. I don't know. It was just kind of funny.
Yeah, I think if it was something like you got it, you know, first and then had to pay for it in return, I think that's kind of like probably the item previews where you can't obviously do that to another one until you've paid your debt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they could add loan sharks in the game, and I could give out cert loans for people to purchase weapons and charge them interest and break their kneecaps and stuff like that.
Yeah, you loan out your razor or something. That's pretty funny. And then the last idea I had, and this is probably a little bit more of a stretch and probably a balancing nightmare, but it kind of goes back to vehicles. And maybe there's some fun new, just totally badass vehicles that are implemented. And maybe it kind of goes back to like the BFR or like an airborne warship that's got a lot of weapons on it. Like maybe like a Galaxy that's got a couple Daltons and some smaller weapons. Maybe you get a cloaked ESF. Now, things like this would obviously be really, really powerful and probably overpowered in general, but they're actually going to cost you certs to pull them. So maybe it's going to cost you 500 certs to pull out this BFR, something that you've had to grind for a really long time. but make it a high enough number where they're going to be fairly rare, but it's giving you some reason to work on your certs, especially at higher levels. And even then, it would probably need like a max number that would be allowed on a continent at any given time. And so maybe it would be put into a queue, but it is just something kind of new to the game that you could really realistically use your certs towards that would probably give you a great deal of enjoyment.
Yeah, do you think that the cert system should be kind of the end all, though? I mean, progression, I think, follows a different path than just what we have like lined up. Like certs are the reason that we play the game right now, and I think that's really, really unfortunate. And I think that's why like some of the higher players are kind of dipping off, is that there's nothing deeper. Like there's no fundamental reason to be playing the game, to capture territory. Like when I log in, I just find the good battle and then I just screw around, and that's because I've unlocked like most of the things that I care about. But before that point, it's just a cert grind. Now, should that be what the game is about?
I certainly don't think that a game should be like about the certs, and I don't think that should be the core to the progression. However, I think developing what we currently have while putting something else in is a viable option to look at.
I think it's only a cert grind if you look at it as a cert grind. Like, I go out and I'll rack up, 2,000 certs, not even paying attention, and I have plenty of stuff that I could still unlock. Now, it's not, important stuff really at this point, but I don't think I ever went out with a set goal of just getting certs. I went out more just to, like I always tell Flexo, I just want to kill people. That's the only reason I play the game, is to kill people. And unfortunately, I think with a lot of the way, and I think this started with Call of Duty with the whole, unlocking stuff or whatever way back when, I think a lot of shooters now people are just focused on trying to unlock new stuff, and I don't think that's how it should be looked at, but unfortunately it is.
I did a video a while back talking about like what it's not fun anymore. It was the title of the video. Extremely trollish.
I watched
but yeah, and basically it was talking about the same concept, is that nowadays we have games where we need this carrot on a stick in order to keep us motivated. And as much as like I'm an old school player, right? Like I like Tribes. Tribes is what I grew up on. Like there was no leveling system. It was just like you just played match after match after match, and that was your thing. But at the same time, now I find myself playing like if I'm playing Call of Duty or whatever, like I'll rank up to the first prestige, unlock everything. I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like it's not like the game isn't fun, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me because I just said the word COD, but it's just, it is what it is. I think it's kind of like we've allowed ourselves to kind of sink into this mentality, and I'm not saying that everybody is this way, but when I look at my comments on YouTube, I'm finding more and more people saying, Wrel, can you make a new certs guide? I'm having a hard time getting certs, and well, I mean, actually, maybe that stems more with lower players not having all of the advantages that upper players do, but we can talk about that later.
Well, by the way, I think we should thank you, and new players should thank you for the new loadouts, the free shotguns or whatever, the free whatever you got. I'm pretty sure that's a direct result of you.
And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I mean, for all I know, they could have had this idea for like 100 years.
I'm pretty sure they love you, Wrel. I know, like Higby and them guys respond to your tweets. I'm pretty sure they hate me. They never respond to my tweets or anything like that. But maybe it's just because I don't have any good suggestions like you. I don't know.
The only thing that really matters is that newer players have something to be competitive with, and I'm really, really glad that the devs are taking steps in that direction.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, even upgrading the tutorial from what it was or was there even a tutorial when the game came out? But no. Either way, there's at least, at least there's something in place now. Yeah.
I remember dropping in for the first time. That was, I think I killed a guy. I maybe killed 2 guys. I can't remember, but yeah, I had no idea what was going on.
I think I fell through the ground my first drop, and the game crashed or something like that.
Nice. I hit the wing of a galaxy and went spinning, and I just kind of thought that's how it happened every time.
That's funny. It's just funny to hear.
So, anyways, to get back on topic a little bit, I'm curious, Wrel, Would you like to see any more vertical progression, or would you not like to see any at all?
I think that it can be. Well, the short answer is no. The second answer is kind of. It's if we look at making the game more horizontal, like if we took a step back, let's say that we have flak armor, we have nanoweave armor, right? So two different things. If I want to, let's start with nanoweave armor. Let's say that everybody has access to nanoweave armor, and it's max rank, like they don't have to rank it up. Well, that's horizontal progression. If I want to move to flak armor, like give me a max rank flak armor. So you're eliminating the vertical element entirely. Now the problem with that is that you'd have to create like so many different types of armor in order to keep cert costs down. You'd have to and it would just be a lot. So like an alternative could be that and to still keep things horizontal but still like allow a player to unlock things is what if let's see, what if every player starts with rank 5 nanoweave armor, right? And then they have all their normal suit slots available to be unlocked. So if I unlock rank 1 flak armor, I can say that I can take a point away from my nanoweave armor and then put it into the flak armor that I just unlocked. So I have 4 ranks of nanoweave, 1 rank of flak armor. That's still creating a horizontal progression, but you also have the you're still unlocking things to have access to kind of new toys, but it's keeping you on a level playing field.
So you'd say you'd want everybody to start with rank 5 of nanoweave, and you'd want them to be able to take points away from that. Would you then not be able to readjust those points or put them back into nanoweave, or?
No, let's say that your suit slot has 5 points. That's it. You have 5 points. You could put them anywhere you want.
So
right?
You can constantly play with it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. But but you still need to unlock the other ranks of these suit slots the normal way that you do now. And this would basically just set everybody on an equal playing field while still allowing you to spend certs and unlock and get different toys, new toys.
So essentially you could end up with some hybrid of nanoweave and flak and maybe like adrenaline pump or something like that.
Absolutely, and I think that's fair. I mean, adrenaline pump, given that it's a 1 cert cost, or if things are, if a suit slot has like only 3 ranks, let's say that using 1 rank of a utility belt or whatever is going to count for 2 slots or 2 points worth of something else. It adds some flexibility. I see downsides in that if I'm fighting a player, I won't know exactly what he has. Like normally you can see if somebody has flak armor and you hit them with a rocket, they don't die, then oh, that person has flak armor. I understand that.
So say they never put that in, but they did allow you to mix and match. You would actually like to be able to mix and match different suit slots?
Absolutely. I mean, right now I don't run with nanoweave armor. I don't understand the point. I mean, it makes you more tanky, obviously, but a couple of slots, that's something that I think people can grow beyond with just learning how to maneuver and things like that. What I don't like not having access to is more grenades. So normally I'm running with grenade bandolier, but honestly, I don't need 4 grenades to accomplish what I want to do. Usually just 2 is going to be enough to use effectively, and then I'm probably going to die shortly after. So if I had the ability to, put a point or 2 into grenade bandolier, and then something into adrenaline pump or something into, flak, I think that would be more fun for me as an individual to be able to customize and have that sort of flexibility.
Would you want to limit it at 2, or would you let it be however many you had points for?
Well, if you limit it, I mean, you'd work within the bounds of what's currently in the game. So let's say that everybody has 5 points, and if you only have 2 ranks of let's see, the heavy assault only has 2 ranks of ammo belt. So let's say that the first rank of ammo belt, if you're playing a heavy assault, costs 3 of those points. Okay, well you still have 2 to mess around with.
Okay, the only thing I see that could be a problem with something like that is, that first rank of nanoweave is the big one, and then the last one's the big one, and the first rank of flak is the big one too for taking direct hits from rockets. So essentially you could get the best of, 3 different worlds if that were the case.
Right, and you wouldn't have to rebalance it. It would allow you to make things a more straight-up trade. So your nanoweave, give them 50 health per, rank, and that's it. So 1 rank is, it'll help you survive another bullet. That's a change in playstyle for sure. But if you end up maxing it, that's 5 ranks. Now at rank 5, that's 2 bullets ish, and at least then you deserve it because you've invested your points into you've had other options. But for a newer player, or for a player who hasn't maxed out the nanoweave, they don't have that option. They just have a crappier version of something that they could have.
All right, I actually think just part of your idea I would really like, and that's maybe just giving every new player rank 5 of nanoweave, and then letting them go from there. So they would be on an even playing field if they chose to go with nanoweave. But if they wanted to do a side grade, then they could invest, But I don't know if I necessarily like the whole splitting up of the different things, but I do kind of like that part of the idea at least.
I like the idea about the flexibility and the customization that it gives in general. I mean, it's the more diversity on the battlefield, I think, is a good thing. I think, like you guys kind of mentioned already, I think it would obviously come down to how it ended up being balanced in the long run.
Well, I do like that. I would like using the different flexibility, but I think that would actually make more... you'd have certain loadouts that were the best for each class if you were to start splitting them up. I think that would actually take away from the side grade thing a little bit.
Well, and not to interrupt you, but I think that kind of gets into like what we see with, like some of the fighters, for example. Up until this most recent tweaks to the ESFs, there wasn't really a downside to flying around with rocket pods and rotary on the front. You were pretty much a jack of all trades, and I wonder how much of that frustration would show with the different type of loadouts you could use in this scenario.
What's funny though is that like what you and Koolaid are talking about is it seems that way. It always seems that way. Like this is the proper way to do it, and usually, like if you look at fighting games, like this is the meta. Like this is a top tier fighter. This is a top tier fighter. I'm gonna pick Ken or Chun-Li or whatever, and then somebody comes in and uses Ibuki and just wrecks shop with her, and people are like, oh, well, we didn't. Whatever. Like we didn't know that was possible. You're using something that we didn't expect. That the echo chamber says that oh, this is the best way to do things. This is the best way to do things. It must be the right way to do things. And that's there's something. Okay, so when you're talking about Koolaid, as far as there being like a best build, right now in Planetside, that's people already have that sort of consideration, and it's never true. And I think if anything that it'll cater more to personal playstyle. Like, do I want the full advanced shield capacitor, or do I want advanced shield capacitor plus another rocket, or plus some health just in case? I think that people will toy with it. People will try to say that this is the best, but Planetside 2 is such a crazy game, and there's just so many different aspects of it I don't think that'll ever be the case.
I think it would work if you rebalance certain things. The way I keep thinking about it is, right now, if you were to be able to do that, you would obviously get that first rank of nanoweave in almost every build, I think, just to survive that one extra bullet, which can make the difference quite a bit. And I think everybody would also have the first rank of flak to be able to survive a direct rocket to the face and get the big first bonus. So unless they did rebalance it, which you did mention, I think, then I don't think it would work. But if they did rebalance the way those things worked a little bit, then I could see it working for sure.
Here's a fun side note. You need at least rank 4 flak armor to survive a direct rocket hit. That's not a decimator.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
maybe.
I mean, it's just completely random. I'm just saying, actually,
well,
if you do have
that kind of, is directly affects my whole logic there, of course.
well, no, because you're kind of right. Because if if you have rank 1 flak armor, you can step directly on a claymore or a proxy mine and not die. So that in itself is a change of playstyle, and that's what you're talking about is having that first rank being a drastic change in playstyle, and that's completely valid. I understand that. I agree. And this idea for me is something that'll never happen. And the reason that it'll never happen is because it doesn't make sense to do it in Planetside 2. Which is, it's sad to say it like that, but Planetside 2 would be more inclined to make, like, if they decided to go a more horizontal progression route, they would just make suit slots, be one and done. Like, you could just, the rank of flak armor is, it's going to be expensive, but it's going to be, 50%. Like, if they decided to go a horizontal route, that's what would make more sense in my mind for them to do, because it's easier to implement. You can always think of new suit slots. I mean, I can think of like 20 off the top of my head, but it would be less confusing for newer players, and I think that's it's always what we end up doing is being more casual and less complex.
All right, so we kind of settled that. Now, Wrel, you've got some ideas on kind of how to help the newer players with their progression. You want to kind of get into that a little bit?
Yeah, it's fun getting to rant for like 45 minutes to an hour. So we talked a good deal about the upper level players and the outfits and we touched a little bit on the newer players, but I think that a major problem in Planetside 2 is that the game isn't balanced around helping newer players grow into more skilled players. Like for instance, I view Nanoweave as a crutch. Right. Well, and the reason for that, I mean, it's not to say that it's not good. It's not to say that, a good player isn't going to make it great. But when you look at a beginning player, my words are hard. So a new player they generally have bad aim, and because they have bad aim, they need a higher rate of fires, something they do well with. They need a weapon that's actually a little bit less accurate because they can't use a laser as well, and they need more rounds in the magazine. That helps compensate for bad aim. New players are also less survivable because they don't understand how to move. They don't understand like the game flow. They're less situationally aware, and they need time to adapt to mechanics and the culture of the server. If the server decides to spam smoke and that's all they do, or if they lay proxy mines, that's all they do. They need time to kind of suss that out. So to help a newer player grow, like I think that giving everybody Nanoweave armor right off the bat, it's setting a new standard, right? So you have so instead of your weapons being balanced around a 7-shot kill, you already know, because everybody has it, that your weapons are going to be balanced around an 8-shot kill or a 9-shot kill or whatever. And from there you can encourage a player to drop the Nanoweave and then move into Grenade Bandolier, or move into Adrenaline Pump, or move into Advanced Shield Capacitor. And I think that just having one rank of these abilities would make sense, instead of making a newer player like climb the ladder to get to effectiveness, right? So the horizontal progression would be nice. We need more.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense. After just hearing you talk about that, something else just kind of came to mind. When you're talking about what new players need, inaccurate guns with large magazines and more health because they're susceptible to dying. It sounds like a pretty simple solution to drop people in as a heavy instead of a light assault on their first trip to Araxis.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I don't know if we're trying to impress people with like light assaults. Oh, you can fly, but you're just going to get steamrolled by by everyone else with a gun. Yeah, that's a really good point.
I think we should drop them in as infiltrator with a crossbow and stalker cloak, and only detect bolts.
Oh God.
You have to be a team player before you get a real gun.
You get to do 100 damage to your targets or whatever it is.
I would quit. I would quit the game right then and there. But talking about this, it's we have those items, right? We have the crossbow. We have stalker cloak, or we have more accurate weapons that players can use once they become comfortable with the game. but but right now the new player experience is kind of like they're not framed to be competitive. A new player needs to be able to kill things in a way that's easy, but they also need to be outclassed by upper level players. Like if that's why people I think are gravitating more toward the T5 AMC now, opposed to the Lynx or the Jaguar. Lynx and Jaguar both fire fast, are good weapons. You know, love them. But T5 AMC, you know, once you learn to start taking headshots, you're going to be more effective. And that sort of progression, we need that more. And that is progression. It's player progression. It's something that we don't normally think about.
It's almost more personal skill set development.
Right. So the game has to be structured in a way that encourages that. Like we always need something new to learn. So when you're looking at always, you know, the air game. Everybody wants, you know, whatever. You're more qualified to talk on this than me, STL. But I think the big challenge of the air game is that you lack time in the air to learn, right? So your cooldown timers are way too long, and the vehicle that you learn in, the ESF, is very frail. So what if there was a Nanite Systems vehicle that you know, was less nimble, had more health, can do more sustained damage, but and that way that they're not complete cannon fodder for the air. They can get a feel for the mechanics, and then they can view the ESF as like, oh, this is what I need to you know, grow into, right? I need to learn how to be highly maneuverable, which is what the ESF can do, but that the lesser, you know, clunkier, more durable vehicle is basically your training wheels. I think we need to see something like that. And as far as ESF or the ace pilots, they won't be outright crushing newer players because it almost wouldn't be worth the time. I mean, they can, you know, they'll start they can outmaneuver the lower level player, but it's going to take longer. You know, and if another ESF sneaks up on the ace pilot, then you're going to be fighting two people at the same time, and it's just bad news bears. So I think that little having those more durable training wheels would be a good place to start for players trying to get into the air game.
And talking about the air game, I mean, we kind of see some of that where it stands right now, especially with the changes to the afterburners and the development of Coyote missiles. You know, the Coyote missiles are now giving newer pilots a chance to hang with those pilots that can just outmaneuver them. You know, tell them to pick up their jockstrap at the door. I mean, there's still some certain mechanics that you need to really be able to get, you know, fairly comfortable with, you know, regardless of your skill level, but it at least kind of levels the playing field a little bit. But talking about personal development and skill set, a pilot that is really good at maneuvering and has good aim is going to kill and is using a rotary for the nose gun and afterburners for your secondary. You're going to be able to avoid most of those Coyote missiles and do a lot of damage to the other vehicle, and you're going to win. I mean, it's the better setup in general for for ESFs. And that sort of development and jump is something that I think kind of feeds right into this. And some of that's already in the game, but you know, you're right when you say that new pilots have a hard time because of the fragility of the ESFs. It's true. I mean, they are fragile, and especially with how much AA is in the game right now, whether that be in the form of flak or lock-ons or enemy fighters. It's a challenging learning environment, and something like a new vehicle like that I think would be, you know, good. I'm just curious to see how, and that's just like anything else we've been talking about, how do we balance all that in game?
Well, what if, this is a little bit different than what you guys are talking about, but what if they could beef up the VR room a little bit and actually have, you know, ESFs actually flying through the air, or, you know, make a separate portion to the VR where you could actually fly an ESF and attack moving targets instead of just the ground targets. I've never understood why the air vehicles in the VR training room just sit on the ground and do nothing.
I think the simplest solution is to keep it kind of like it is, however, make it a tri-faction VR where you can actually fight enemies. So you could actually go in a Reaver and dogfight a real TR player and a Mosquito and get practice in there.
I actually like that idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I wonder how much that would detract from the actual game, though, because there's, I don't know, it would almost, it sounds like more fun being in like a small enclosed environment where it's more like dodgeball than
you probably have a lot of people going in there for little 1v1s and stuff like that.
And I mean, you could even do something like that where it's almost like an arena. You know, you get paired up with somebody of equal skill set or whatever it may be, or maybe you even choose, you know, I'm a beginner, pair me up with a beginner. And then you get to go in and dogfight. And something like that could help develop skill set. But if you can't force, like, it's not just like the current VR where you could maybe have 400 people in there, whatever the limit is. If it's just 1 versus 1, hopefully that's not going to pull away from the massive scale that's on the live servers that I think is what draws most people to the game.
But I do think you'd have a lot of pilots going in there just to 1v1 all day, though.
That's true.
Let them. Go 1v1. Stop camping my warp gates.
I think the VR needs to be beefed up just in general. There's a lot of problems with the VR, and I don't know if they've talked about doing anything else with it, but it's pretty bland. A lot of the stuff doesn't even work in the VR, like splash damage. That's been going on forever. So you can't even properly test a lot of the stuff that you should be able to test.
Yep. And the render distance in the VR is atrocious. Like, as far as, in the way they have that grid in the background, I don't know, it's visually unpleasing as well.
I think it looks cool.
Couldn't they throw some moving targets or something in there? It's not going to... The performance the performance really shouldn't matter too much in there. Obviously, you're not going to want to have it lagging all over the place, but if it doesn't matter, if it doesn't affect anything on the other continents, throw some moving targets in there. Do something to make it, feel a little bit more like it would actually feel on the actual battlefield, because you can't really get a lot of proper testing done in there, and I just don't think there's a whole lot of point to it unless you just want to fire a gun a few times.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, I think that's pretty much going to wrap up this episode of Duality with Wrel as our special guest. Big thanks to Koolaid and Wrel for the time. Always a good time talking with you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm glad we could finally all three get together, have some fun conversation.
No kidding,
Life is hard, dude.
It really, really is. And I guess just as a final note, make sure that you're visiting and supporting these guys' channels. Frankly, considering Wrel's here, chances are if you're on my channel, you're on his too. So, but yeah, go over, spread the word of mouth. Stay tuned for more. Wrel, we'd love to have you back on for another one of these at some point.
Yeah, sounds good. I like that.
All right, so that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys.